You ever stop and think about one of humanity's oldest, most ambitious projects? I'm not talking about building pyramids or flying to the moon, but something way more fundamental, trying to organize every single piece of knowledge in the world. So, yeah, let's jump right into this epic story of how we went from dusty old scrolls to intelligent search engines.
It really all boils down to this one question. It's a problem you and I face every single day, right? Whether you're hunting for an old email or trying to find a specific piece of research. It's the same challenge that has haunted scholars and librarians, and now pretty much all of us for centuries. And the scale of this thing? It's just staggering. I mean, think about it. In the ancient world, the ultimate challenge was finding one scroll in the legendary Library of Alexandria. A huge task for sure. But today, we create 2.5 times quintillion bytes of data every single day. The basic problem hasn't changed, but the universe of data has just completely exploded.
So how in the world do we fight this chaos? Well, we do it with this: information, organization. This is the intellectual heart of how we make any sense of the world. It's the set of rules, the systems, that turn a totally useless pile of data into something you can actually access and use. You could say it's the real hero of our story.
All right, so let's move on to our first era and see how this all got started. Long before computers, the real challenge was just creating systems of pure intellectual order. Systems that could work on paper and inside the human mind. And what's really wild is that this fundamental process, it hasn't changed a bit, whether you're organizing scrolls or websites. It's always this four-step dance. You start with description, just saying, what is this thing? Then comes organization, that's the smart part, grouping it with other similar things. After you store it somewhere, the final, absolutely crucial step is retrieval, creating the map, like a card catalog or a search engine, that lets someone actually find it again.
And check this out, humanity's first big attempts at making this systematic. The year 1876 was apparently a huge year for getting organized. You had Melville Dewey inventing his decimal system, which gave every book a unique number based on its subject, like an address. And at the same time, a guy named Charles Cutter was writing the rules for the card catalogs we all remember. These weren't just lists, they were literally maps to all of human knowledge.
So for about a century, these paper-based systems were king. But then, a machine came along that would change absolutely everything. And we had to figure out how to translate all those ideas of order into a language that computers could actually understand.
The real game changer was a standard called MARC, which stands for Machine Readable Cataloging. Honestly, the best way to think of it is like the first universal barcode for knowledge. Before MARC, every library's computer system was its own little island, speaking its own language. But after MARC, they could all talk to each other, sharing information about their books almost instantly. It was huge.
And this one, simple, powerful standard, did something that was basically unimaginable for centuries. It allowed the physical, tangible, old-school card catalog
to go online. Just like that, the library's entire brain was no longer stuck in thousands of little wooden drawers. It was now accessible through a screen. I mean, what a monumental leap forward.
And the difference this made for actual users? It was night and day. With the card catalog, you had to be physically in the library, and you were pretty much stuck searching by author or title. But with the new Online Public Access Catalog, or OPAC, the library's walls just kind of dissolved. All of a sudden, you could search from your dorm room at 2 a.m. using any keyword you could dream up.
But of course, the digital revolution was really just the beginning. The insane volume of new information being created every day demanded something more than just an online list. It demanded real intelligence. The library needed to get a brain.
And here's why. We are back to that mind-blowing number: 2.5 quintillion bytes of new data. Daily, there is no amount of human effort on Earth that can manually catalog, classify, and organize that tidal wave of information. The old systems, even the digitized ones, were about to completely break. And the answer, of course, is artificial intelligence. Now, the really important thing to get here is that AI isn't just about making things faster. It's about automating the intellectual work. The very human tasks of understanding what a document is about, assigning its subjects, and even answering research questions.
So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, we use machine learning, which is trained on millions of existing library records, to automatically classify brand new books. We use something called natural language processing to figure out what you actually mean when you type a search query. And we even use computer vision to look at a digitized photo and describe what's in it.
All of this leads to the single biggest change in how we find things:
the shift from keyword to semantic search. A keyword search is just a dumb word matcher, right? But semantic search, which is powered by AI, tries to understand your intent. It knows that if you search for effects of climate change on farming, you're probably also interested in global warming impact on agriculture. It's a complete game changer.
So, wow. We've journeyed from clay tablets all the way to intelligent algorithms. Let's pull all this together and take a look at what this future of finding really means for all of us.
So what we're left with is this incredible balance of power and pitfalls. On the one hand, yeah, we have instant, personalized access to pretty much the world's entire library of knowledge. But on the other hand, we have to be really clear-eyed about the limitations. The same AI that finds our information can inherit human biases from the data it's trained on. It's super expensive to build and maintain. And it forces us to ask some really serious questions about data privacy.
And that brings us to our final and maybe most crucial question. For thousands of years, humans have been the organizers. Now, we're building AI to do it for us. So the ultimate challenge for the next generation is this. As these incredibly powerful systems bring order to our world, who makes sure that the AI itself is organized fairly, ethically, and for the benefit of everyone?